All right, so let's take a look at some exponent law questions. Okay, so we'll actually do some questions, and then you guys have some homework down here at the bottom from the textbook, which I'll post the pictures of the book too. Okay, so let's we're just gonna apply what we did up here to some actual questions now. Okay, so it says simplify the following using exponent laws. Okay, so there's no simplify and evaluate, right? So it's just simplify. So here's what I think. Here's what's going on. Okay, we'll do this in black, but I want to highlight. You have numbers multiplied against numbers, right? That's no different. Then you have a base of x multiplied against the base of x. And you have a base of y multiplied against the base of y. Okay, so what you're going to do here is you're going to multiply dark green by dark green. I'll use a different color for y. You're going to multiply pink by pink and blue by blue. Okay, and you're going to apply your laws from above to do that. Okay, so let's do the green. Let's take care of the green. So this answer here, 4 times 2 with the exponent laws is just 8. Okay, you multiply numbers together, right? So that takes care of the green. Now what you're going to have from the pink is x3 plus 5 because you're multiplying. And then it's y 2 plus 7. So when I collect all that up, it becomes 8x to the power of 8, y to the power of 9. Okay, let me move on. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one. Again, I'll highlight this one, and then we'll just continue without highlighting moving forward. So I got numbers, and then I got x's, and I have y's. Only one y though, so that's a problem. We'll see. Not really a problem actually at all. So let's deal with the numbers. So 36 divided by -9 should be -4. Okay. And then I have x to the 5. Okay, and this is what we call a division or quotient rule, right? So I'm going to have in that it said if I have a base divided by a base of the, or sorry, two bases of the two of the same base divided by different exponents, right? I'm going to have 5 minus the exponent on this one down here is 1. Okay, and then what you're going to have in the top is there's no y, so it's still, we're still stuck saying actually, you know, you could write is this in the numerator there's a y to the 0, and if you remember, anything to the power of 0 was 1, and then you had the -3 in the bottom minus -3. Okay, this is one way of doing it, particularly the y. The first half doesn't change. The y I can do in a different way, which I'll show you in a second as well. Okay, so then if I were to collect everything up, I'd just get -4x to the power of 4 y cubed. Okay, now the other thing you could have done here is we would have had -4x to the 5 minus 1, but then all of this would have been divided by y to the -3, right? Because there wouldn't have been any y's, and then what you would have done is brought the y to the -3 to the numerator. So we get the same answer. Okay, just two different thought processes. Okay, so you could technically say that there's a y0 there, right? Because that's equal to 1. Right, I'll take care of that. So let's do the next one. So 2x, now I have exponents raised to exponents, right? And I always just like doing this. I like putting the imaginary ones on things if they don't have anything so that I can see. So what you're going to get here is 2 to the 1 times 3 multiplied by x to the 2 times 3 multiplied by y to the 3 times 3. Okay, and so you're going to get 2 to the 3, x to the 6, y to the 9, which turns into 2 cubed. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8x squared, or sorry, 8x 6 to the power of 6, y to the power of 9. Okay. Now, the next one, what did I say in the other lesson, or in the actual top part of this? Anything, and I mean anything, raised to the power of 0, 1. Does not matter what's in here. 1. Okay. Now, let's do the next one. Now we're starting to get into a little bit more complicated questions, right? So we have things buried in one another. Okay. So let's take a look here. The first thing I'm going to do is actually deal with the exponents onto each of these, okay? So with that being said, I'm going to have 2 to the power of 3, x to the 3 times 3, y to the 2 times 3. That's all going to be divided by 4 squared, x to the 1 times 2, and y to the 3 times 2, right? And then I'm just going to collect everything, right? So that's just going to turn into, let me clean this up. 2 cubed is 8. I'll try and move this up a little bit. Give myself some room. Okay. Now move it over here. That's equal to 8. Okay. 8x to the 9, y to the 6, divided by 4 squared is 16. Okay. X to this 2, y to the 6. Okay. And now I just have one of these quotient law questions, right? So I can, like, 8, we can deal with the numbers, right? So I'm going to see 8 divided by 16. Well, that's 1/2, right? 1/2. And then you can go, okay, well, the next part here is going to be the x, x to the power of 9 minus 7. And then the last part is y to the 6 minus 6. Well, that just turns into, let's just do the math on this now. We're going to have 1 x squared, 6, that's y to the 0, all divided by 2, which is equal to x squared divided by 2, because this is 1. Okay, so there's your answer. Put no blocks around that, or circle. Okay. That's me showing a lot of work, right? You might not need all that work as we start to do more of these questions, right? So let's take a look at the f here. So with the f, I'm just going to apply the exponent to everything inside of the brackets, right? So that's going to turn into 2 to the negative 4 divided by 3 to the negative 4. And then what I said was, okay, well, how do I get rid of the negative exponents? We just flip whatever they're in, right? So by that I mean, I'll do this in stages. So to deal with this negative exponent, I'm going to bring it to the denominator first, so which makes it 1 over 2 to the power of 4, and that's going to be multiplied against 3 to the negative 4, okay? But I still have this negative, so I got to bring this to the numerator in order to make it positive, because it was in the denominator the first time. So what I'm going to get is 3 to the power of 4 divided by 2 to the power of 4. Right? And then you could figure out 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is going to be 81, divided by 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is going to be 16. Okay? 81 over 16. Okay? The last one. Sorry, G. What we're going to do is similar thing. I'm just going to have to I'm going to flip the fractions, right? So this is just going to become 2 to the 3 over 5 squared, which is equal to 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, 8 over 25. Okay? Now, here's where everybody's friends of adding and subtracting fractions come into play, okay? So let's take a look at H here, a little bit interesting. So again, I see negative exponents. What happens with negative exponents? They go to the denominator. So I can write this 1 over 3 squared plus 1 over 3 cubed. And that's just going to become 1 over 9 plus 1 over 27. Well, I can't add these two fractions together as they sit at the moment. Okay. I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to make the denominators the same in order to add these together. So how do I make the denominators the same? Well, I can multiply the fraction on the left by 3 over 3, right? Because 3 times 9 gives me 27, right? So now I'm going to get 3 over 27, okay? That's from the multiplication of 3 by 3 plus 1 over 27. And that's now I can collect. Once the denominator is the same, you just carry it over, right? And then you just add the top. Okay. 4 over 27. Okay. Last one of this, and then I have one step up, and then I'll show you how to do that, and then you guys are good to go. Okay, so let's take a look at this last one. I can do the numerator by just simply typing it in, right? So I know that 3 squared is going to be 9, plus 2 cubed is 8, and that has to be divided by, here's where things get ugly. This denominator has a negative exponent. Okay, so what you're going to have to do is figure out how you're going to deal with these two pieces, okay? Now, if I were to take, this is going to be 1 over 3 plus 1 over 2. Okay? What you're going to do, you can do the math on that. Okay? And find out that, well, we could do the top first. 9 plus 8 is going to be 17. Right? And then the denominator, I got to find the common denominator in order to be able to add those together, right? So what you're going to have to do here, I know the commonality between 3 and 2 is 6. So what you're going to have to do is multiply this one here, 2 by 2, and multiply this one by 3 over 3. Okay, and what you're going to get is going to be 17 over 2 over 6 plus 3 over 6, which is equal to 17 divided by 5 over 6. Okay. And here's a little trick that comes up quite often. Okay. Now, you have right here, we're almost done, but what you have here is you have fractions inside of fractions. Okay, so that we don't like those, right? So what you're going to do, this is very similar to a negative exponent in that if I have a number or a fraction divided by another fraction, okay, so something like, by that I mean, if I had 1/2, there's a little fraction, and then there's a big fraction divided by 2/3. What you're going to have to do here is take the bottom fraction, bring it to the numerator, but when you do that, you're going to multiply by 3 over 2. So do you see how like the denominator flips? That's called multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, and then so your answer here would be 3 over 4. Okay, so if I came back to this here, I'm going to have to do 17, and then I'm going to multiply by 6 over 5. Okay, so 17 times 6 should be 102 divided by 5. Okay, that's your final answer. Okay, this is a little tricky, but all you can see is from here to here, what happened, I brought it to the numerator and multiplied by the opposite of whatever it was in the denominator. Okay, last one, not a whole lot different. There's just one extra step I'm adding to the end. Okay, so let's first simplify, and then we can evaluate afterward. Okay, you're always going to simplify first. Just do the exact same thing we just finished doing, except this time you're going to have one more step on the end. Okay, so let's work through this. 15 divided by 5 is going to be 3. That's nice. 3. Okay. Then you can go x to the negative 2. And because we're division is subtraction, minus 1. Because there's an imaginary 1 here. And then I can go y to the 3 minus 2. Okay. And then when I come down here, I can go 3, negative 2 minus 1 is x to the negative 3. And then 3 minus 2 is going to be 1. What do I do with negative exponents? Bring them to the denominator, right? So my answer is going to be 3y divided by x cubed. Okay? Now, that's your simplified. That takes care of this. Okay, that's the simplified version. Now your other job here is to evaluate. Well, what am I evaluating? You're evaluating the simplified version when x is negative 2 and y is 3. So what you're going to do, you're going to do what it says. You're going to go 3 to the multiplied against, what's y equal? 3. And then you're going to divide by negative 2 cubed, right? Because x was negative 2. So what you're going to get, 9 divided by negative 2 cubed, and be careful, is going to be negative 8. Okay, there's your answer. Okay. So there you go. Those are your exponent laws. There's lots of questions here, and if you want to, if you need more questions to do, you can always just do all of them instead of every other. Okay, and feel free to